Centuries of Britain unified under the Union Jack may come to an end in 2014 with a referendum on Scottish independence. An agreement giving the green light to the vote in 2 years' time has been sealed in Edinburgh by two of the top men in UK politics. And RT Sarah Firth looks at what's at stake.
Firing the starting shot, armed with their pens, and what's been dubbed the Edinburgh Agreement is signed. It's been described as the most important political decision to face the United Kingdom for 300 years, with Prime Minister David Cameron and First Minister Alex Salmond meeting to sign a historic deal on an independence referendum. The battle for Scotland begins. After years of political wrangling, the fierce fighting will now commence. Both sides will want to put their arguments forward, and some people are already getting their claws out. In his press conference, Alex Salmond had to field a question, asking why he wants to tear up the British flag.
I thought that was the pejorative language that the BBC had decided wasn't appropriate in this campaign. We're not in the business of ripping things up. We're in the business of developing a new relationship between the peoples of these islands. I think a more beneficial, an independent and equal relationship. That's what we're trying to build.
Points of focus for both sides will be the economy and issues of defence, and whether Scotland would be stronger going it alone or really is better where it is. And the referendum, to be held towards the end of 2014, will focus on a single question: whether Scotland becomes independent or not, dropping the much mooted third option that would have seen more powers going to Scotland whilst remaining inside the Union. This is now an all-or-nothing game.
The polls have been consistent, over the past decade, if not longer, that support for independence remains at about a third of the population. It doesn't really get much higher than that.
But whilst those in the pro-union camp may seem outwardly confident, as the pro-independence group are quick to point out, the outcome of this fight is far from a given.
They're going to intensify the attacks on the SNP. Right, this is the way I see it. In January, February last year, the opinion polls were showing that we were going to be wiped out. And what happened at the end of that, at the election, is that we had an overwhelming victory, actually on the second vote.
Indeed, the SNP now holds 69 of the 129 seats in Parliament. But the stakes are high, and many feel the First Minister has bet his career. For the UK, were Scotland to vote for independence, it would be set to lose a third of its landmass and most of its oil. And so, with everything still to play for, these were the first concrete steps on the road to possible Scottish independence. Sarah Firth, RT, Edinburgh.
While London claims Edinburgh won't cope on its own, those against the nation's independence are bluffing, says Scottish MP Linda Fabiani.
Scotland is quite clearly capable of being a viable nation. It's very interesting that the no parties, the Conservatives, the Labour Party and the Liberal Democrats, they are no longer saying Scotland couldn't make it. I think it'll be really interesting. It is a very, very exciting time for Scotland. And everyone has to lay out their stall. I mean, it'll be up to us, those who believe in independence, those who believe that Scotland can be a better country if it's independent and makes its own decisions. We shall put our case to the Scottish people, and it's up to those who want people to vote no, to put their case for staying in the Union and why they feel Scotland and Scots would be better maintaining the links with the United Kingdom.